The date was June 4th, 2014. It was 10 p.m. in Westfield, New Jersey, USA. Outside, it was raining heavily. There was a house on 657 Boulevard, and inside, a man named Derek Broaddus was doing some paintwork. At that moment, Derek was the only person in the house. All the lights inside were switched off, except for the hall where Derek was painting. Suddenly, Derek's phone rang. It was his wife, Maria. She told him to come home soon because it was already very late. After painting for a while, Derek walked outside. But before leaving, his eyes fell on the mailbox, which was open. Derek thought the rain might ruin the letters inside, so he reached in and took them all out. Among those mails, there was one letter that immediately caught his attention. On top of it, it said, "To the new owner." Derek casually opened it, thinking it was some normal mail. But he had no idea that once he finished reading it, his life would never be the same again. He was about to become the very first link in a case that would later confuse the police, detectives, and even the FBI. This is the case of the Watcher family. Now let's move forward. A family lived in New York, the Broaddus family. There were 5 people, a couple and their 3 kids. The husband was Derek Broaddus, the same Derek we talked about at the beginning. His wife's name was Maria Broaddus. Derek worked as a vice president at an insurance company and earned very well. Maria was a homemaker who took care of their children. The family lived in a 3-bedroom house in New York. But as the kids were growing up, they decided they needed a bigger home. They chose an area 30 minutes away from New York in Westfield, New Jersey. Maria had actually grown up in Westfield. The town was considered one of the safest and most peaceful places in America. But everything was about to change for them, because the house calling them was on Boulevard Street in Westfield, a house known as 657 Boulevard. In June 2014, the Woods family, who lived in 657 Boulevard, decided to sell the home. The Broaddus family bought it for $1.3 million. The house had 6 bedrooms, 4 bathrooms, 4 fireplaces, and a big basement. It was everything the family dreamed of. Before moving in, Derek wanted to renovate the house and set everything up the way they wanted. So renovation work started. And then came the very night at 10 p.m. when Derek was inside the house painting and found that letter. Derek started reading it. The letter said, "My new neighbors who have moved into 657 Boulevard, welcome. How did you end up here? Did 657 Boulevard call you? Did the power hidden inside its walls bring you to me? For decades, this home has been under my family's watch. Now that it is turning 110 years old, all its responsibility has fallen onto my shoulders. My grandfather watched the house in the 1920s. My father watched it in the 1960s, and now it's my turn. Do you even know the history of this house? Do you know what lies within its walls? Why did you come here? I'm going to find out, but you won't know what's coming for you next. I've seen you start renovation work. You're changing the house into something it shouldn't be, something it doesn't want to be. That was a very big mistake. You have angered 657 Boulevard. You have children. I've seen them. So far, I have counted 3. Now you must be wondering who I am. Hundreds of cars pass here every day. Maybe I am one of them. There are many windows and doors through which 657 Boulevard can be watched. Maybe I stand at one of them, always watching. Maybe I walk past your house every day, and maybe sometimes I may even come inside. Welcome, my friends. Welcome. The game is about to begin. The Watcher. After reading this letter, Derek immediately shut off all the lights in the house, ran to his car, and called the police. He asked them to come quickly. Derek feared that someone else might already be inside the house. 2 police officers arrived. Derek showed them the letter and explained everything. Then Derek and the officers checked every room and every bathroom in the house. They didn't find anyone. But in the backyard, the police found a hammer and a screwdriver. They asked Derek what those were. Derek explained that construction work was going on, so maybe the workers left them there. The police told Derek to remove all that equipment because someone could easily use those tools to break a window and enter the house. Before leaving, Derek locked the entire house properly and then went home along with the police. At home, he told Maria everything and then emailed the Woods family, the previous owners, asking if they also ever received such letters. Because the watcher claimed to have been observing the house for years, Derek then started researching who had owned the house before. He found that in 1913, William H. Davies bought the house for $1. In 1947, he sold it to Ernest for $1. Derek wondered why the house was sold for $1. Later, he found out Ernest was actually Davies' son. But in 1951, Ernest sold the house to Dillard and Mary Bird, again for $1. The strange thing was that Ernest had no relation to the Birds. Why was the house given away for $1 again? In 1955, the Birds sold it to Lawrence and Mary Holmes for $23,000. Then in 1963, the Home family sold it to the Bakes family. In 1990, John and Andrea Woods bought it for $370,000. And in 2014, the Broaddus family bought it for $1.3 million. Derek noted that the house had been sold for $1 3 separate times. The next day, Derek went to work as usual. When he checked his emails, he found a message from John Woods asking him to come over. Derek immediately left the office and went to their house, which was nearby. He told them everything, the letter, the police, everything, and then asked them if they had ever received such letters. Andrea Woods told him something important. 6 days before Derek bought the house, on May 26, 2014, she was alone at home packing because they were about to move out soon. When she went outside to check the mail, she found a strange letter. She didn't remember the exact words, but the letter basically said, "Do not leave this house. Leaving will not be good for anyone." Andrea thought it was just some random neighbor messing around, so she tore it up and threw it in the trash. But when Derek emailed her about his letter, she realized this was something serious. The Woods and Derek went to the police station to report everything. The officer told them clearly, "This stays between us. Don't tell anyone about these letters." Derek also told his family not to tell anyone. A few days later, Derek was checking the renovation work when a neighbor named John Smith approached him. John said they were organizing a barbecue night to welcome the 2 new families who had recently moved into the street, one of them being the Broaddus family. Derek agreed to attend. The next day, Derek, Maria, and their kids went to John's house for the party. John's house was 1 house away from 657 Boulevard. During the party, Derek noticed a man walking in the dark in the backyard of the house next door. The man looked odd. Derek asked John who he was. John said that was the Langford family, a very strange family. They had lived there since the 1960s. The mother, Peggy Langford, was 90 years old, and her 3 children, all in their 60s and unmarried, lived with her. The man walking in the yard was Michael Langford. He didn't work. and he had several odd habits. Walking alone in the dark for hours, entering people's backyards, and peeking through their windows. John added that Michael was actually harmless, just a bit strange. But Derek immediately felt that this man might be the Watcher. He went straight to the police and told them everything about the Langfords. 2 officers visited the Langford house. Peggy answered the door and brought Michael for questioning. The police asked him what he thought of the new neighbors. Michael said he didn't care. It was their money. They could do whatever they wanted. Then the police showed him the letter and asked if he wrote it. Michael denied knowing anything about it. The police were suspicious, but they had no proof, so they let him go. After that, Derek and Maria kept a close eye on the Langford house. Maria also warned her kids, never go inside anyone else's house. If she couldn't spot her children inside the house, she would panic and shout their names loudly. Weeks passed as the renovation continued. A new layer of fresh paint had just been applied inside the house. Maria had come to check that paint, and like every day, she also checked the mailbox. But today, inside that mailbox, there was another letter, another one from the Watcher. Maria began reading it. The letter said, 657 Boulevard has turned against me. He used to be my friend, but now it has become my enemy. You've done some kind of black magic on it. You've started changing it, but you don't understand the true nature of this house. It cries every night remembering its old days. In the letter, the Watcher even wrote Mr. and Mrs. Broaddus, which meant he now knew their names. One of the Broaddus children was painting inside the house. The Watcher mentioned that too. Maybe this one is the artist of the house. He even listed the children's names and ages. Then he wrote, "This house needs new blood. And maybe, in time, you will learn what hides inside these walls. Thank you for bringing your children into this house. But tell me something. Will the children play in the basement? If they go down there, maybe they'll get scared. If I were them, I'd be terrified, because that part of the basement is far from the rest of the house. And even if someone screams down there, no one upstairs will hear anything." Reading this, Maria got scared. She immediately called Derek and told him everything. They decided they would no longer bring their kids inside this house. And now, they even began questioning whether they would shift here at all. The second letter was handed over to the police, but they had no clue. Still, they tried extracting DNA from the envelope's saliva. The next morning, around 7 a.m., Derek was sleeping at home when he suddenly got a call. It was the contractor working on the house. He said, "Last evening we put up a construction sign outside your house. This morning the sign is still there, but someone pulled it out and stuck it back upside down." A few days earlier, the construction crew had already told Derek about something extremely weird, but more on that later. Soon, the third letter arrived. This one said, "Where did you go? 657 Boulevard misses you. I need new blood. It tells me that. My patience is running out. Maybe now there will be a car accident. Maybe there will be a fire. Maybe an illness. One that has no cure, that grows day by day. You're wondering who I am, aren't you? Look at the cars that pass through Boulevard. I am in one of them. Maybe you've even spoken to me. This house is restless because it's empty. Come soon, and we will start the real game. The moment you bring your belongings inside, both I and Boulevard will know. The Watcher." Finally, the DNA report came back. Police discovered the saliva belonged to a woman, but the primary suspect was Michael Langford. So suspicion turned toward his sisters, Abby and Sandy Langford. Maybe with Michael's help, they were behind all this. But the DNA test proved none of the Langfords matched. So who was doing all this? No one knew. Derek installed advanced security systems, cameras covering every inch of the house. You might think someone walked to the mailbox and dropped the letters. But no, these letters were sent through the postal system, which made the sender even harder to trace. Derek hired private detectives. They spent nights inside the house, did background checks on neighbors, searched for anything suspicious. Eventually, Derek decided the last option left was to sell the house. He had bought it for $1.3 million. Now he listed it for $1.4 million, including the renovation costs. Weeks passed. No one called. He thought buyers would show up immediately. But every local already knew the story of the house. Everyone wanted to know what was inside the walls, but no one wanted to buy the place. Meanwhile, a boy named David, who lived in Westfield but studied in New York, noticed a car parked near 657 Boulevard. The man inside was filming the house with a camera. David found this strange. When he told a couple of his friends, he heard the story of 657 Boulevard. He immediately went to the police and reported what he saw. But that car was parked far from any CCTV camera. No footage existed. Now no more letters were coming. No buyers either. Those who did come wanted to pay only half the price. A property dealer suggested, "Let's divide the house into 2 units. We can sell each for $1 million." But the authorities rejected the proposal. This plan failed too. Then a family approached Derek. 2 elderly parents, their 2 adult kids, and 2 large dogs. They wanted to rent the house. Derek tried to convince them to buy it. They refused. But after 2 weeks, both of their dogs became sick. And then, another letter came from the watcher. It said, "You people think you're very smart. I stayed quiet for long, but now I must speak again. I am the one you know. I am one among your neighbors, always watching you. Your detectives watching me. Your attempts to find me. You will never know who I am, but I know everything about you." This terrified the renters. Even though they didn't want to leave, they eventually moved out. Now Derek had no choice. He sold the house, purchased at $1.3 million for $900,000. A straight $400,000 loss. Plus, the renovation cost burned away. Derek hoped the real watcher would be caught someday, so his family could finally live in their dream home. But that day never came. Now let's decode who the watcher really could be. During the investigation, one night around 11 p.m., police quietly hid in the backyard with binoculars, watching the area closely. A car stopped in front of 657 Boulevard. Stayed there for a long time. When it finally drove away, the police tailed it. The car stopped near another house. Inside was a university girl. The cops asked, "Why are you here so late?" She replied, "My boyfriend lives on this street. I came to meet him." The police asked why she was parked so long outside 657 Boulevard. She said, "I heard about the story, the letters, the watcher. My boyfriend plays very dark online games, and he calls himself the watcher in them. I'm scared he might be the one doing all this." Police questioned the boyfriend, but he'd been living out of New Jersey for a long time. There was no evidence against him. Now remember that weird thing the construction workers told Derek? Behind the Broaddus home lived an older couple. One day, the workers saw them sitting on chairs facing the Broaddus house, staring directly at the wall, listening closely. Their chairs should have faced their own backyard, not the Broaddus house. It was as if they were trying to hear what was happening inside. The husband's name was Bill Woodworth, a painter. Later, it came out that Bill's daughter was married to a man who had spent his entire childhood living inside 657 Boulevard. His family lived there before, and the watcher seemed to know the house intimately, as if he'd lived there himself. So now, let's narrow the suspects. The watcher has to be someone living within a 50-meter radius. Why? Because huge trees around the Broaddus property would block visibility from a distance. Only a neighbor could overhear the family's names and conversations. No outsider could walk the street repeatedly without attracting suspicion. We are left with two prime suspects, Michael Langford and Bill Woodworth. Why only these two? Because the first letter came on June 4th, just 2 days after the house was bought on June 2nd. And the Woods, previous owners, had never put up a for sale sign. So only locals knew the house was being sold and knew the exact day it changed hands. Anyone living nearby could easily hear conversations, learn the kids' names, and understand the layout of the house. Now the big question, between Michael Langford and Bill Woodworth, who was the real watcher? When police first questioned Langford, he denied everything. But letters continued to come afterward. If he were guilty, he might have stopped out of fear. But he didn't, unless he thought if he stopped, it would look suspicious. But the DNA did not match him or his sisters. And so, everything quietly pointed toward Bill Woodworth. But even then, what was his motive? No one could prove anything. No major crime occurred. But the mental torture the Broaddus family went through was unimaginable. Thanks for watching.